Good afternoon, Quasar Markets Live. Y'all love him, Peter Thomas, the man, the myth. And, here he is, chairman of AU Secure. And everybody I've been talking to, Pete, has been talking about one thing, that yellow shiny metal that everybody wants to put around their neck. Gold. Talk to me about what's going on in sales of gold, man.
Oh, man. I think I should get a grill. What do you think?
Little teeth things. Yeah, I love it.
I think I look good, huh?
So tell me, Peter, how are sales of gold right now?
Full grill, why not? It's surprising. It's people call and they go, what's a coin? I got 3,500. I'll take 3. I'm like, okay, what do you normally? I was going to take 5, but I'll take 3 now. And oh, by the way, I bought all this platinum from you. Can I sell it back to you? I'll have it picked up. I'll make arrangements today. So we're active on both sides, Steve. Right. We're getting profit taking and new positions.
Wow. Okay. All right. But usually when people are they're taking their profit, they usually have held it a while. Is that correct?
That's true. If you remember, you and I did a live show for all of your viewers, and you said, "What do you think of where the top of Bitcoin is?" I said, "Right here," and you went, "Yeah, sure." And it broke like what, $30,000. And what happened was a lot of those people bailed, came over to me and bought metal. So they held that whole break in gold. And now they're coming back on, I've been sitting down at a while, Pete. I'm up 20, 30%. What should I do? I go, never seen anybody go broke taking a profit,
Right.
So
and
we're getting a lot of stuff back.
Yeah, you said there's a lot of new buyers. What are their thought processes behind the new buyers?
I think what's happening is it's all podcasts and internet. I mean, that's the bottom line. More and more people are going, I don't like what's going on here. I don't like what's going on there. Putin's not coming to the table. A lot of geopolitical pressure pushing people into the safe harbor, it's referred to, of gold. And we're seeing people go, I just want to have, I made X amount on this stock. And, I'm just going to put some in the safety deposit box. Pete, send me some gold. And it's surprising. About 60% of it is referrals from people that successfully bought metal from us.
Yeah. And look, we've been talking about baseball all day. Let's take a big swing. You hit a home run. You said something about the gold to silver ratio. You were dead spot. Yeah. Look at the price now, down below almost right 90, 66 now. You said anything over 100, start buying silver, right?
Yep, absolutely. And what happens, Stephen, you have a very sophisticated viewing audience usually. And so they'll understand when I tell you what I had explained before, and ditto it happened, was we saw a lot of short positions in the market, Steve. And what happened was when it started to rally and those stops start getting hit and people start to run for the door, you get these massive runs. And it's what I refer to, it's an old school word, blow off tops. And you don't hear it too much anymore. And I know you know it, but that's what we had. I mean, when you see $1.36 in silver one day, 86 cents the next day, these are big numbers. And in the meantime, gold's dropping $20, $30. And that spread went from 117 to 90. So like you said, we got lucky. We saw it overextended, and we managed to take advantage of it for our viewers.
You made a very good point about silver, about it being in the social media markets. What is it about silver that Gen X and these new gens coming up, Gen Y, Z, B, Ds, what are they loving silver so much for?
Well, I think it's a bifurcated thing. The first thing is that the Gen Xers get it. They know that their phone, their electric cars, solar cells, all of them need a lot of silver. And silver has gone from jewelry usage over to a commercial usage. Yeah. And so they're saying, I don't want to get involved in copper because I don't want to step into a futures contract, but I'll buy a couple of tubes of silver or a half a box of silver and throw it in storage. And that's what we're seeing with regards to the Gen Xers. They're rather than saying, I'm not going to spend $3,300 on a coin, but I'm definitely will spend $1,000, $2,000 on some silver. So we're seeing smaller amounts, but more regularly and steady purchases, which they, when did you remember you ordered for you and your mom, I think, from me.
That was around $19 now, right?
Yeah. So what we're seeing is people like you, not seasoned professionals like you, but individuals going, oh, $20, this is cheap. And now they're looking at it going, well, $30 ain't too bad because I've seen it at 50. So, we're seeing participation and if you look at it like low 30s, if we've been at 50 and we've been at 20, we're still midstream here,
Yeah, you said something very interesting in the last show, that you said that Poland was buying gold.
Yes.
And central banks are buying gold. Are they still buying gold?
Well, I'm gonna feed the rumor mill here to probably come out, but one of my friends said that China came in aggressively this morning and bought multiple tons, of which they're, of course, denying. China never buys gold. Just ask them. They're only up to 17 tons this year so far that I know of, which means there's a lot more because they consume a lot of product out of Africa and they run it through various places that, we don't see. So, yes, the answer is yes. We're seeing aggressive buying effective 2 hours ago. Okay.
Yeah, and I also heard over the weekend that the biggest metal push was not gold and silver, but was platinum. Is everybody buying platinum now?
Well, let's go down to the dynamics of it, and I know our viewers appreciate this too. When we saw the Ukrainian war break out, Nornickel, which is probably the biggest mining operation in Russia and are one of the largest contributors to the market of platinum, palladium, and rhodium, they immediately had sanctions slapped on them. And people are looking, going, where's all the metal going to be used? Because now we're going to go one more step, because we're seeing EV purchases slow down. Remember, EVs don't use NO2 scrubbing products such as platinum, palladium to clean the air. They don't use them. So people were saying, well, we're going to go electric and this and that. Now all of a sudden they're going, wait a minute, we're going gas. We're going to stay gas. And we're looking at the stockpiles with the war going on, with the sanctions going on. We're going to run out of product. And you know what? The numbers are really looking good here if you're on the long side.
Yeah, and when to purchase this gold or silver or platinum, and I'm going to ask about one more metal, you can go to x.com, go to AU Secure. You can check out their Twitter verse, and you can also pick the phone up and you can call Peter. I think that's one of the things that I always say about our show is that we're not just telling you about what's going on and showing you what's going on and pretty much being right, but you can actually talk to us. You can actually pick the phone up and call Peter and say, hey, Pete, I want to buy some gold from you.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
But what about the one that we don't talk about often, and that's rhodium? I don't hear about rhodium very often, and I just heard for the first time on Thursday about rhodium now.
Oh, well, if you've been, on, my following in Abu Dhabi, Saudi Arabia, Dubai, basically the entire Middle East, I have a pretty good following. At 3,000, I told everybody, I said, look, we're going to see continued consumption here. Let's start putting some in the safe. We're up 100%. 100%. And I will tell you something. I think rhodium could possibly go to 12,000. So, it has a wide open road here. And I think it's worth entertaining it. I believe AU Secure is one of the few places you can buy rhodium right now. Just dial it in. AU Secure is on the Quasar Metal site. And, Steve, we've been doing these shows steadily since you started this platform and have really been trying to do our best on the education side. I'm thinking, I do the weekend for Bloomberg. I do the weekend, CNBC, NBC. Maybe I should consider doing a show at the end of the week for you guys.
Heck yeah, man. We'd love that. Just anytime you want to come on, Pete.
Okay. I'm just thinking because, I mean, maybe once a week we'll coordinate with you guys and just kind of wrap it up so that all your followers find out what the hell's going on in physical metal, because nobody's really talking about.
Yeah, I think that's a key point, right? That I asked you this in the last show, like, is there enough gold, silver, platinum, rhodium to cover the paper side of this, the derivatives, the options, all the derivative side of these metals? If everybody was to say, hey, I have an option, I have a call here, I want to be filled with my call, my futures contract,
right,
can it be filled?
Well, let's be pragmatic. I mean, it sounds great. You get a lot of sizzle going, oh my God, there's not enough gold in the world to fill this paper. But the bottom line is money. How big is, when you're standing on your wallet, how tall are you? It's an old saying on the floor, right?
That's tall, very small.
Yeah. Exactly. So, I mean, the bottom line is this. If I'm long gold, and I'm doing it and I am a registered hedger representing miners and whatnot, refiners, things of that nature. So I'm trading at 98%, 96%, depending on the exchange. The rest is leverage. Right. So I don't have $30 million in cash to meet the call to take my call off or to offset the backside of my put. So the bottom line is that the vast majority of all of that paper out there, when it comes time to be called away, it will vanish. There's nobody standing there going, give me my $1 million ounce, 100-ounce bar. It's just not going to happen. So, I don't see a shortage to meet the call because I don't see the equity out there to stop it. But it is reaching record highs with people that want certified gold. And if I'm doing regular shows for you, I will do a Basel III show, which is going to change the tier value of metals used by gold. And I'll go into that in depth for our people.
Yeah, and if you want to reach out to Pete personally on Twitter, and please click on him, give him a follow. It's Goldbug111. Good picture. And Pete, I think a lot of people don't know a lot about you. You've been in the movie business too, as well.
Oh, sure. Oh yeah, I was with Paramount for 20 years. I used to. It's funny. You get burned out on the floor, with the 100 guys standing in a circle, all fighting for one piece of meat. You get a little burned out after a while. And I was under contract for Paramount, and I would take my trading coat off and go make a movie. I'm with the Untouchables. Sean Connery and I became very, very good friends, and I did 3 for Bobby De Niro. I did a lot of projects. I was very fortunate to do safety and work safety and coordinate with the Illinois Film Office here in Chicago, and I had a very good career in film. Film was very good to me.
Yeah, and I think you and I, when we talk about the markets in general, and of course you had a storied career in the metals market. Talk to me a little bit the advantages you had by being in Chicago with the markets.
Well, I had 2 things on for. One was that my father was on the floor for 40 years. When I was 13, I was doing charts by hand on the dryer in the washroom. My dad would come in.
I had a desk with graph paper, but okay, you did all
right. Yeah, right, exactly, man. The old days, filling in my pencil,
And make sure you fill in the chart. Make sure do not use a pencil. Use a pen. Yeah, I know that. Yeah.
Everybody would come, all the guys that came to the house to visit, we got to dinner. I knew all the traders. So it was kind of a family thing back in the old days. And, you were as good as your word, and your family had been in. My sister was in the oil pit. My brother-in-law was in the meal pit. I mean, it's just how it was. And so it's a big advantage because I could go into a bank and they go, oh, okay, Mr. Thomas, fine. What do you want to do? And once your reputation is set and you're second generation and you're known, I had some very good clients. And so I had a big advantage, and it wasn't unfair. I was a very fair broker. I filled orders as they came, no game playing, and had a good reputation. My nickname on the floor was the Clean Machine, as I was famous for that, and everybody got a good shot. So, but
all right, Clean Machine, let's get right to it. Give us a story that we don't know about on the floor that nobody here has heard yet lately. Tell us a good story about floor time.
Oh, floor time was incredible. I'll tell you a great one, man. I just to give people an idea, the market's trading like on fire, right? And it's trading $49.80, right? And I'm going, this thing ain't never getting to $50. And all of a sudden, we're at $50, right? And I look over, and this gigantic guy it was an English trader. He was from the London Exchange. I looked over and I recognized him, and I was like, "Wow!" And he's bidding $50. I'm like, boom, sold, man. 200 at the market. He goes, I'll take 50. He backs up. He goes, okay, 50 it is, right? And that's so I'm laying him out. So he took 50 full-size cars at $50, right? I saw him. I'm not going to tell you his name, but he very, very famous guy in metals, and later on became the head of a very large exchange, let's say. He looked over, got in a cab at Metals and Mining Show in London, and there he was. And I looked over. If we look at each other, and he goes, "You sold me that 50. I'm never gonna forgive you," because that was the high, and it was just funny, and
because a lot of people don't realize that, Pete, that they're even when the markets hit a high, somebody bought it. That's what it's a zero-sum game. So somebody bought that high and somebody sold that low, right? So there's always that person,
right?
How did you know that was the top right there? You're like, okay,
I'm not tooting my horn. I wasn't the guy that called the top. I was filling the paper, Steve.
Gotcha. Okay.
And I had orders in my deck, and I had them. You stack up your deck in the morning. Actually, I had my kid would stack up my deck for me, and I had my 50s to go. And then I had my buy stops on the other side. So I'd fill it just quickly as I could, but. It wasn't me. I didn't know that was the top. The paper.
All right, I'll give you an opportunity right now, Pete. Right now I'm looking over silver spot right now. It's traveling at 36.71 now.
Right.
I personally have been calling $43 for silver at the top. Okay. What is your call for the top?
Well, I'll tell you what. The last time we traded here, when I was trading it, it had a different feel. There was a little more energy behind it. The market feels a little tired right here.
Okay.
So I don't know if we're going to see the push, Steve. I kind of think we're getting close. We put another, 75 cents on it here. I could be 100% wrong. The question really is, the bottom line is 40. I mean, that's the number, If we bounce off of 40 2-3 times, you're going to have people taking profit, and we're going to run out of gas.
And no blow off top, right?
Right. We punch through 40. It's a whole new world. So let's just use that as a breaker and see what happens.
Is there a reason why 40? Is there a lot of institutions sitting up there at $40 to sell?
Well, there's a lot of institutions that when we went into backwardation, we're all over this thing and are really happy that I was asked to start a very large hedging desk in Dubai just recently.
Yeah.
Do we have institutionals? Absolutely. The question becomes, what does that number mean? Well, think about it this way, but people need to figure is this is a real tangible market. This isn't hypothetical. You're not buying paper here. You're buying physical and for usage. That people are making wire. They're making silver solder. They're doing things. So a lot of the people at 40 will have hedged their net usage. They could take profit from their back positions, move it to the front and buy their metal and save themselves another quarter of expenditure. It might be real attractive to COOs and firms running metals. I just saw Eric Sprott give a little say that, he felt this thing was going to go higher, but he wasn't sure. And Eric is really a good guy on metals as well. And so I respect his opinion also.
Yeah, and I'm just looking at that, Pete. You just said backwardation, contango. So
Yeah.
What Pete's talking about is when forward contracts or contracts that are in the future, backwardation means the price is lower than what it is right now, and vice versa. Contango being forward. Right now, 35.99 on the June contract. I'm showing 36.72 on the spot. That's what he means. The forward contract is actually lower than spot right now. So if you went to the store and bought it, physical costs more than a contract. Now, if you look at the July contract, 36.13, again in backwardation, 36.28, 36. Now, it would take until November of this year, 36.81, that actually puts it 2 cents in forward or in contango. So what he's saying is in the near term future, the charts for the forward contracts is actually lower than spot. But if you move forward to next year, next July, we're actually up another $2. So
yes.
Yeah. So talk to me a little bit about why are we seeing so much backwardation in the next forward contracts?
Well, I'll tell you what. Let's review what's been going on politically, because that's what that is. That is an extension of political will, and we are seeing Powell sitting at the Fed, and because remember, there as a cost to money as you go out every month. You know, you carry that funds. You're losing the interest rate return. If that's a little clearer for people. So the people are looking at it going, I don't see Powell lowering much. So I think that our carry charge, our carry costs over the next 2 years are going to stay right here. And so what the market is doing is it's reflecting Powell's attitude towards the current situation, and the market is staying pumped up, reflecting no cut. And that's what it's telling me. And is it going to happen? I have no idea. But all I know is that that's what the market's saying. If you believe Powell's going to cut, I'd be selling next year, June, which is called Red June. I'd be selling 2026s, and look for that to pull back. If you think Powell is going to keep his boot heels dug in, I would be very careful right here.
Yeah, and you know what's interesting? You just mentioned that. So if you're long silver now, you're saying short silver in the future. Yep. That's a spread. We call that a spread in the futures markets, and I love that a lot. That lowers your maintenance and initial margin, so that makes it a little bit easier on you can have more contracts. But I like that a lot. All right, Pete. Wow, you've given us a lot to munch on today. I love this a lot, and we'll see you right back here next week, man.
I'm looking forward to it. I think we hit on something, Steve. I can't wait maybe to start working with the Quasar team for the first time, and we'll start putting something together for our viewers here. I think we really hit on something.
I agree, and we appreciate all the viewers right now. We just hit a high for Pete Thomas and AU Secure, the chairman, and of course my dear friend. Thanks, people. See you next week.
Bye-bye.